Welcome everyone, my name is Limbic and this is Starclass, the Starcraft tutorial aimed at complete beginners. Today I'm going to be giving you a Protoss build order that I designed to be 1, really easy to do, and 2, help you form good habits and basically ease new players into the game. Now, if you have no idea what's going on, if you just got into Starcraft 2 and you're completely lost, I've got a video right here that explains the very basics of the game. If you know the very basics, but you're not so familiar with the Protoss race, I've got a video here that will explain most of their units, researches, upgrades, all that good stuff to you. It'll go over everything you see in this video. Alright, without further ado, let's hop into StarCraft. Here we are at the start screen. Now you might think we're going to head over to custom games to practice our build order. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to head to the arcade. The reason that we're doing this is because the arcade has a really good mod, basically, that makes it really much more easy to test out new build orders, and it will save you a lot of time, and you'll go ahead and see how that works soon. So just go ahead, come up to the search bar, search HOTS, build order, and then go ahead and hit enter, and you want this one. It's called HOTS Dolly's Build Order Training Map. And let's go ahead and hit play. While we wait for this to load, while it does its countdown shenanigans and loading nonsense, I'll go ahead and bring it back up to me. And I would like to quickly say that the arcade section of StarCraft 2 is actually completely free. You don't need to own the game to access it. So you can actually play what we're going to be using here completely for free, and there's tons of other games and custom maps that you can try out. There's like Dota style games, there's plenty of those. There's a Bejeweled game, there's tons, there's thousands. So I definitely recommend, if you're still kind of on the fence about purchasing StarCraft 2, to definitely download the free trial version, and you get the arcade completely for free, and it was definitely worth your time, in my opinion. So, we'll go ahead and come back into StarCraft to show you how this custom map works. You start off by picking which race you want to play. Of course, we're going to be playing Protoss. And the nice thing about this map is, let's say you're trying to get your new build down and you kind of goof up, or maybe you do get it down but you want to try it again just to make sure that you've really gotten it completely perfect. You can go ahead and hit this restart button, and you can click the race that you want to be again, and it will bring you right back to the beginning where you start with your Nexus and your 6 probes. And the nice thing about this is, compared to the custom games section on the official StarCraft client, you would have to basically surrender and then create a new custom game in order to restart it. And this will save you a ton of time, because the other method would involve basically going through 2 load screens every time you want to restart. So, when you start the game, the first thing you should of course do is start building probes. One of the most important things about StarCraft 2 is that you should be building as many workers as you possibly can. Once you're at 9 of 10 supply, go ahead and start constructing a pylon, and you want to build this pylon at the top of your ramp. The reason for that is because we're actually going to be constructing a gateway. And I'm going to go ahead and pause here while I go over everything I want to talk about. You're going to be constructing a gateway right next to this pylon, and you're going to be leaving yourself just a little hole right next to the gateway, between the gateway and the end of your ramp, and you're actually going to basically plug that hole with a zealot. The reason that you're doing this is because... Oh my goodness, I almost lost my train of thought there. The reason that you're doing this is because you don't want to be vulnerable to cheese, which is especially common in the lower leagues, which will probably be put if you're a new player. Cheese are strategies that are designed to kill the opponent extremely quickly, and they're usually very aggressive, and they basically rely on the opponent not actually being properly prepared. If you have a wall completed, you will be a lot safer against cheeses, and most of the time you will just win outright. Alright, let's go ahead and hop back into the game now. You can see now our pylon has completed. You of course want to be building more probes, and you want to chrono boost on your Nexus. This will make your probes build much more quickly than they normally would. Once you are at 13 supply, go ahead and start building a gateway. right next to your pylon. You can see now probably a little more clearly what I was talking about. Now there's just this tiny little space at the top of your ramp that we'll be blocking with a zealot. At 14 supply, you'll want to start an assimilator. Just take one of your gases here, and once this building is completed, you will begin to be able to start harvesting that gas. Now, I would like to quickly mention, just because I'm saying do this on this number of supply doesn't mean that you should necessarily wait until your number in the upper right hand corner is equal to the ones I'm saying here. What do I mean by that? Let's say your opponent attacked you and killed a few workers, or maybe you accidentally forgot to be building workers. I'm not saying that you should just wait until you have 17 of 18 supply. So let's give an example here. Let's say your opponent attacked you and they killed 2 workers, okay? So right now, you are at 15 of 18 supply, whereas I'm at 17 of 18 supply. I'm not saying that you should build 2 more probes and then build your next pylon. Just, instead of thinking it as, I need to build this on this supply, I need to build this on this supply, try to imagine it's more of an order. So, you know, you have pylon, and then once that's done and you have the money after you're continuously building workers, gateway. Once that's done and you have the money, you know, you're still building workers, assimilator, pylon. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? That's really important. The reason why I'm just using these numbers is because it's an easy way to communicate the information to you here. Alright, let's go ahead and head back into the game. You know, you want to start your second pylon on 16 supply, and you want to start a cybernetics core on 18 supply once your gateway finishes. And then once you have the money, you'll want to go ahead and start a zealot. So we'll just impatiently hammer the hotkey in order to build him, and you can actually chrono boost this zealot in order to make him build much more quickly. Now, again, 21 of 26 supply, we're going to start constructing another pylon. The last thing we want to happen is for us to get supply blocked. Now, this zealot is going to finish up, and I'm going to go ahead and put him on hold position by pressing the H key. Now, why am I doing that? And why am I actually mentioning that in this video, where I'm trying to keep things simple? It's because if, let's say, you're playing against a Zerg player, and they had a bunch of Zerglings down here, if you don't put the Zealot on hold position, he will kind of just automatically charge against those Zerglings, and then your opponent will be able to slip by. And that's kind of just one of these, you know, quick tip things. If you're wondering how players keep their units from just mindlessly rushing to attack enemy units, that's how it's done. So let's go ahead and head back into the game. Once you're Cybernetics Core, you want to start Warp Gate research. And I cannot stress the importance of this research. It's actually basically like, you know, the noob alert if somebody ignores this research and does not get it, because it makes all of your gateways far more effective. So once you have the appropriate money, go ahead and build yourself an additional 2 gateways. And you want to be spending your chrono boosts not on workers, but instead on your warp gate. Once you have enough money, you can build, let's just say, a stalker. That seems like a good idea to throw one of those in. And again, just continue to be building workers, continue to be chrono boosting your Cybernetics Core, and we're just going to be waiting until these gateways finish up their construction. Even though we are getting a lot of probes, we actually have more probes than we need for this base, I'm just trying to really drill that into your head. Never, never stop building workers if you're a new player. It's really so unbelievably important. Alright, once that stalker finishes up, go ahead and bring a probe down. We're going to start an expansion. And I just want to get you into the habit of actually expanding. You don't want to be stuck on one base play forever. And now, go ahead and take this probe with you and build a pylon right outside of your opponent's base and bring your Zealot and Stalker with you. So let's say our opponent was right here. We're going to build the pylon, you know, a safe distance away, but also fairly close. Once your Cybernetics Core research is done, once Warp Gate is done, go ahead and transform your gateways into Warp Gates. Remember, you still want to be producing probes as much as possible. And, you know, you just wait until your pylon here is done, and then once it is, go ahead and start warping in either Zealots or Stalkers. It's really up to you. I would recommend Zealots if you are just starting out because they're a lot tougher and they require a lot less control to be effective, but it really is, you know, your decision. So, again, always be sure to continuously be producing probes, chrono boosting your Nexus whenever available, and once your Nexus down here is almost complete, go ahead and transfer probes down. And basically all that is I selected about half the probes that were up here, and I told them to start mining down here. Continuously be warping in units at this pylon, and then once you've got a pretty sizable force for yourself, go ahead and attack your opponent. And the reason why I'm putting this into the build is because it's a very common ailment to just sit back at your base and then just kind of build up a giant death ball of units, wait until you have, you know, maxed out 200 of 200 supply, and then only then do you even consider attacking. And I find this is actually particularly pertinent for Protoss players. And it's a really hard habit to break later in your, you know, Starcraft career. So I'm just going to go ahead and advise to you now to attack earlier in the game. Don't rely on this attack winning. You know, this is just something to help you from falling into the trap of always just building up giant armies and not even considering attacking your opponent until then. So again, just make sure you're always building probes, make sure that you're building pylons when you're almost at max supply. I would strongly recommend that you get a robotics facility pretty soon at this point, because you'll want to build observers, because it's a very common thing for your opponent to do something like a Cloak Banshee rush or a Dark Templar rush against you in the lower leagues, just because those strategies are far more easy to perform than they are to defend against, which makes them very popular for lower level players. Alright, before I wrap up this video, I would like to talk a little bit about scouting. Scouting in my Terran video is something that I actually kind of advised you didn't really do, just because it adds an extra step into your build order, and since you're a new player, you're not really going to be able to understand much of what you see anyway. But for Protoss, if you are playing against Zerg, there is one example of scouting that you need to do. So, if you are playing against Zerg, when you bring your probe over here at 9 of 10 supply to construct your pylon, let's just go ahead and wait until we have enough money to do that. You should send that probe out and have a look at the Zerg's base. And there's one thing that you're going to be looking for, and that is the infamous 6 pool. A 6 pool is when a Zerg player literally does exactly what I'm doing here. Nothing until they have 200 minerals, and then they take one of their drones and start constructing a spawning pool. And the reason that Zergs do this is because they are able to be extremely aggressive. It is literally the most aggressive strategy possible in StarCraft 2. It means that they will have Zerglings in your base at the fastest speed that is, you know, possible. So, when you send your scouting probe out, if you see a Zerg opponent whose base looks like this, they have a spawning pool on the way or already done, and they have very few drones, what you will need to do, and we've got a bunch of disgusting creep around our Nexus here because we are playing Zerg. What you will need to do is just build an extra pylon and make yourself kind of, you know, a hard wall off, made completely out of buildings. And once you have that done, you'll be perfectly safe against the 6 pool, and you'll actually be in a really fantastic position because you should have way more workers than your opponent. You'll have, you know, your gateway already done. You'll just be in a far better position. But if you don't build this pylon, your zealot that you're building at the gateway will actually not be completed in time, and you will risk losing the game. Alright, thank you very much for watching. This has been Starclass, a StarCraft 2 show aimed at complete beginners. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask me them in the comments, and I will answer them. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Limbic, and I will see you all next time. Really? C is mostly videos? What? No? Yeah. Guess not. What's this? Is this... Oh, Guild Wars 2 takes up a lot of space. Oh my god, we have things to do!